1971 did not provide for the United States dollar convertibility into gold, and therefore helped cause the Great Depression and stagflation. The Federal Reserve's trickle-down policy of expanding the money supply with no demand for it has enriched the owners of financial assets, but endangered the jobs, wages, and savings of blue-collar workers. Number 12, restoring American middle-class prosperity requires change in monetary policy, authorized to Congress in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 5 of the Constitution. Section 2, define the dollar in terms of gold. Effective 30 months after the date of enactment of this act. Number 1, the Secretary of Treasury shall define the dollar in terms of a fixed weight of gold based on that day's closing market price of gold, and Federal Reserve banks shall make Federal Reserve notes exchangeable with gold and the statutory gold definition add the statutory gold definition of the dollar. Okay. Section 3. During the 30-month period following the date of enactment of this act, the United States government shall take timely and reasonable steps to disclose all its holdings of gold, together with a contemporaneous report of the United States government purchase or sales, thus enhancing the ability of the market and market participants to arrive at the fixed dollar gold parity in an orderly fashion. So pretty much what this is saying, ladies and gentlemen, is to go back to a gold standard, right? The only thing it doesn't state that I can see is that it doesn't say what percentage of the dollar will be backed by gold, right? They're saying that within 30 months after the enactment of this bill, if this becomes law, that they have to come up with a percentage pretty much, right? And my question is why is this just sitting there? Why is this bill just sitting there? Do they know something that we don't know? All right. First, we have a bail-in bill, all right, that has already been passed, all right, and no banks have bailed in anyone since it's passed, and now we have this bill sitting here in Congress just collecting dust, all right. I'm thinking that well, obviously I can't foresee the future, but in my opinion, I'm thinking that they're starting to stack up the decks so that if there is a systemic banking failure in the United States, they can come out with this bill, all right? A lot of people are going to lose money that have money in the banks, and then they can come out with this bill because the American people are going to be furious, especially those that lost money in the bank. They're going to be furious that they got bailed in, and they're going to want something that they can trust. And what can be trusted, what has been trusted for the last 5,000 plus years as being real money, all right, gold and silver, all right? So I know there's a lot of people out there that say gold and silver, you can't eat it and all this stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, let me just give you a quick scenario, all right? Let me just give you a quick scenario. So let's say there is an SHTF, and I said it in the past, and I still stand by this. SHTFs don't last forever, right? Let's say there is an SHTF, and it's because the economy and the banking system systemically failed, all right? Let's say that the banking system systemically fails, and we pretty much have to start from scratch, all right? We need money, all right? We need to have money. And the kind of money that we need to have is money that cannot be duplicated very easily. The reason that precious metals makes good money, is because you need to invest capital in order to get it. All right? So that means that once you get it, once you dig that gold out of the ground or silver out of the ground, excuse me for a second. Sorry about that. Once you dig or you mine that gold and silver out of the ground and you process it and you make it into a coin or whatever, you've already have a lot of energy invested into that. So it's already worth what it's worth, right? You can't just print gold and silver out of thin air, all right? And you can't just barter. Let me give you a good example of why you can't just barter for everything. right? In a complete SHTF where there's anarchy and stuff like that, and there's no government and things like that, yeah, you would have no choice, but the standard of living would be terrible, okay? And ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe that we're going to have that kind of an SHTF, all right? I think we're living through an SHTF, but in very slow motion, all right? And when it gets a little bit fast, that's when the system is going to change, I believe, right? But let's say that we did have an SHTF where there was no currency available. How are you going to barter for everything you need? So, for example, let's say that I raise cows, right? And I need someone to build me a shed, right? And a carpenter comes by and he builds me a shed. What am I going to do? Tell him, yeah, can I give you a quarter or can I give you a half of a cow? What if that carpenter raises cows too and has a couple of cows and he's like, well, no, I already have all the beef that I need. You know, you're going to have to try to find something else that he'll take from you. All right? And let's say he does say, okay, I'll take a half of a cow. But then let's say that he needs a pair of shoes. What's he going to do? He's going to go to the a person that has a pair of shoes. He's going to have to find someone that has the pair of shoes that he needs, but that will also be willing to take a set amount of beef, because that's all he's got to trade with. It's that beef that he just earned. All right. And what about if he wants to go get a beer at the local salon? All right. What's he gonna do? Bring a couple of pounds of beef with him to go get a beer? Or what if he wants to get a box of Cheerios? What's he gonna do? Bring 6 ounces of beef with him to get a box of Cheerios? No, that's why we need money. We need money. Money is a vehicle that you can use to trade value back and forth. And being that precious metals, i.e. gold and silver, all right, are not easily extracted from the earth, and when they are extracted from the earth, it actually takes capital and labor and energy to extract it. Once it's extracted, it already has value, all right? It already has value. Here in Alaska, if you go gold panning, all right, and you get yourself a nugget, you know, that nugget already has value. You can take that nugget, go trade it in for money right away. It already has value, all right? So that's the value that you're exchanging for whatever it is that you need. Now, when you have money, all right, which is a way of exchanging value, you don't have to worry if you're a carpenter and the person that you're building a shed for is a rancher. Why? Because he's going to give you an ounce of gold for building him that shed, and then you can take that ounce of gold and you can divide it into however many pieces you want so that you can go buy a pair of shoes, so that you can go buy 10 pounds of beef, so that you can go buy, you know, a box of pencils for your kids or whatever. All right? So that's why we need money. A lot of people that are anti-precious metals, a lot of people don't understand that we cannot barter for everything, especially the way that we live now. You know, how are you going to pay for things that you order online, all right, with barter? All right, it would be extremely difficult. Our world, if it came to that, our world would become a lot smaller than what it is. Okay, in order for us to have a barter economy, it means that your world has to become a lot smaller. It means that you're probably not going to get any goods that are outside of your local area. All right, so that's my take on it. But I would really like to hear what you guys think about this bill here, this HR 5404. And the fact that just a few years ago they passed a law, the Dodd-Frank, that pretty much says that banks can now be bailed in instead.
Breakouts. It's not intended to be an absolute bright line. If there are issues there that folks want to obviously bring up in